Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you all here in this new session at TNV Academy. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for today's webinar, Mr. Ajay Bajpai. In this webinar today, Mr. Ajay Bajpai will discuss about actions to address risk and opportunities as per ISO 9001 standard. Our distinguished speaker, Mr. Ajay Bajpai, has done his bachelor's in engineering in metallurgy stream. He is also a lead auditor in ISO 9001, 14001, 45001, 37001, 22000, 27001, 13485, 22301, and 50001 standards respectively. He has an industrial experience of around 38 plus years in field of manufacturing, quality control, quality assurance, design services, and technical testing. He has contributed to a number of organizations, entrepreneurs, and individuals on various topics related to ISO terminologies and their certification and implementation. It was just a brief introduction of our guest speaker today. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ajay Bajpai. I may request Mr. Ajay Bajpai now to please take over and start the webinar.
Thank you very much, Apurv. Please check one of the candidates' mic is on, so some noise was coming from the background. Please just tell everybody to mute their mics. Yeah, now the sound is all right. So thank you very much for the introduction, and I welcome you all for the interesting subject of risk and opportunity. This was something which has been added into the ISO 9001 and 14001 standard when the revision came in the year 2015. So the entire structure has been changed from clause 1 to 10. It has started as risk oriented standard with high level structures. That is what we all have been knowing it for last 8 years of implementation of the standard. 8th year will start soon. We have started drafting the requirements. Normally, when the standards are under revision, so this activity and the point of risk and opportunity has been added to most of the standards, but today we will be discussing it with respect to the quality management system, that is ISO 9001 2015 standard. Okay, so whenever we are going to discuss any head of the standard or any requirement of the standard or any subject, we always discuss what are the linkages to those requirements, because if we can understand the linkage, we can move on for understanding, for implementing, for documenting, and finally internal audit, management review, and improvement. That is the theme behind all this, as we have been discussing the plan of PDCA, plan, do, check and act. So we follow the same rule regulations throughout the standards implementation, along with the 7 principles of quality management, so that we start understanding the organization and its context. So the first implementable clause starts from point 1, 4.1, where we have to understand the requirement of the internal customers, external customers, and we give them the names as internal issues and external issues. These issues are very much related to the risk and opportunity chapter. If we can understand what all we are going to do in 4.1 with the help of 6.1, then we can implement 4.1 and 6.1 very well together while documenting it. Second point comes needs and expectation of the interested parties. When we are going for auditing to many organizations, the concept needs to be very clear. That is what we have found missing into number of organizations. Interested parties, the concept should be clear. We tell anybody, it is a definition is very simple, very logical. Anybody who has interest in our organization, as a training organization or as a manufacturing organization or as a certification body, they are all called interested party. Okay, It can start from the customers, it goes to regulatory statutory boards, it goes to trainers, it goes to consultant, it goes to any type of service industry which is working with us or which may be working with us. So we in the documentation of 4.2 related activities of 6.1, we understand number one, who are the interested parties. I have given you the example from A to Z, whosoever has interest into operations of our organization, they are interested parties for us. So we have to understand number one, what are their needs, their basic needs from us as an organization. Okay, which may be a simple requirement of a material or a requirement of a PPT or requirement of a document if we are an organization and we are hiring a consultant then. And then definitely interested parties will have certain expectations. If they provide us some raw materials components, if they provide us services, so they have expectations. What expectations? We will give them the feedback on their services. We will support them in providing their services. We will also provide them their payments as and when they are getting due. And some of the customers may have more expectations, some interested parties may have more expectations. They may be developing some new products, the new projects are coming. So they want an organization to support on them. So we develop as an organization an entire chart of need and expectation of the interested parties, and then we start working towards it. Before we go in for implementation, we need to understand the concept of risk, which is defined in details in ISO 31000 and its related series of standards. There, the concepts of risk are made very clear so that the organizational team can understand what is the meaning of risk, what is a risk, what is a low, high, medium risk, high the categorization of risk is done, and how further the risk can be mitigated. Mitigated means how the risk can be reduced and finally it can be brought to near about zero. That is always the aim. You see, the zero defect and zero this thing practically does not happen, but we try to reach as close as to the zero defect, zero this levels. So creation of the concept in the organization for risk is one of the prime requirements to understand and then implement the risk and opportunity in the organization. Coming to next point, it is also helping the organization to achieve objectives. Any organization, we know from clause 5 when we start from the quality policy with respect to 9001, we have policies defined, quality policy, organization policy. For other standards, we will have environment policy, health and safety policy, but all these policies need to be achieved through what? Objectives. Policies are achieved through objectives, smart objectives. So, through risk and opportunity also, we are going to develop a system where the objectives of the organization can be met with. They become a supporting element for that. Also, risk and opportunity activity helps us to identify what can be the opportunities, because the concept is wherever there is a risk, if you try to reduce the risk from high to medium to low and so on, the opportunity will come. Concept is very simple to understand. If we have 5% of rejections in any part or component, we reduce the rejection to 4%, or we reduce the likelihood of the occurring of the rejection to 4%. So that means our profits increases. So that means the opportunity for improvement is come. So risk and opportunity go hand to hand. Concept, wherever there is a risk, we can think of opportunities, and when we start working in next slides future, we will see how they can be further improved upon. It also identifies what kind of further threats can be there. Business threats, competitor threats, customer threats, new design development threats. So all these are identified through risk and opportunity clause and chapter. With the help of implementation of risk and opportunity, we can think of resource allocation effectively, properly, with our target approach to see that the objectives are achieved and a risk treatment plan is prepared, and we keep on again reducing the risk existing, and we also try to estimate the near future risk, further future risks, and the treatment plans are prepared. So this was the introduction part of the risk and opportunity. Now we go further into action. What is actually the desired results from this? Why we are conducting this exercise? Okay. So as I discussed earlier, the moment we start understanding the concepts of risk and opportunity, our team's understanding level increases and they take us to a result where the risks are reduced and opportunities are side by side developing. An organization is moving towards the improvement plans, continual improvement plan by using of various techniques, PDCA and so on. Also, when we are getting into risk and opportunity situation, it is giving us confidence that ultimate aim is what for all this implementation is achieving the requirement of the customer, reducing customer complaints, enhancing the customer satisfaction. So once we are able to work out a plan for the risk and opportunity, so desired results will be customer requirements are met. Also, it enhances desirable effects. Everybody has a desire into a management system. Desired effects are reduction of the customer complaint, improvement of the satisfaction, increase of productivity, improvement in internal satisfaction, productivity improvement. So once we are doing an exercise and implementation of risk and opportunity and risk assessment situations, then desirable effects definitely increase and enhance. So that is seen as an uh, automatic output of this process. And when are having the desirable effect, it also make a greater impact onto the prevention or reduction of the undesired effect. Every process when we are working upon, every process will have some okay products, some okay services, some rework, some rejection and so on. So they are called undesired effects of a process. So when we are controlling the process with the help of opportunities, achievement by mitigation of the risk, the undesired effects are prevented or definitely reduced. An ultimate objective of all this exercise as we discussed is achieve improvement. Whatever process, sub-process, clause, sub-clause of the department, employee, subordinates, they all once understand the concept of risk and opportunity, they move straight away to the achievement of the improvement. So improvement is one thing which is coming out of the risk and opportunity exercise as we go on into understanding this process further. Good. So let's go to the next exercise. How we get this into implementation. That means our slowly we get into a planning. I always am a very firm believer, and globally everybody understands this. Once you do a good planning, most of the job is already done. So planning is one of the very critical exercise of the risk assessment and finally coming out as opportunity. This risk and opportunity exercise, and we have seen into many organizations when we look at the charts into either internal auditing or in our third party auditing when we do for the field audits or online audits, we find that many times the organizations are not involving the entire group for conducting this analysis. So we always wish and suggest the organization that this should be done in a team, small groups, large groups, cross-functional teams, whatever is the size and type of organization. But we need to conduct where do we stand today by going into the roots of the processes, sub-processes, understanding through PDCA, involve quality circles, many organizations with different kind of techniques. So they utilize the expertise available within the company, and then they do a detailed exercise of where are we standing today with respect to our products, processes, inspections, rejections, maintenance, preventions, corrective action, stores management. So a detailed exercise is done of all the elements of the processes, and then we know what are the probable risks today we have in our hand, and then this team will get into movement of the monitoring of how to reduce these risks. When we have done the exercise, we know also into the planning stage that yes, risk needs to be reduced. For example, today we have a scale of 0 to 10, which is from low, medium, high. Highest may be the 10. So today if any process or any requirement of risk is at 10, we will have to plan to achieve 9 in next 1 or 2 months, depending upon what is the process and what is the capability and how much resources and investment at times we are going to put into that process or machines. So risk mitigation, risk reduction plan is monitored throughout the processes after doing a good and effective planning. So we are always into an analytical mode of working when we are into clause 6.1. We are continuously doing analysis. For example, initially we see in a company that in the month of January 2022, the risk of a particular production process was 8. So they do a monthly analysis and they come out and they found now the risk has reached level 7. They should not stop at that. Again, a group meeting is called. Again, cross-functional teams will meet to discuss that particular process, and they revise the mitigation or improvement plans. We always say that policy, objective, risk and opportunity charts are not forever. Means what made today is subject to change tomorrow. So for that matter, documentation, process control, revisions of processes with respect to risk and opportunity chart and the team are very important. So same way when we go into more and more analytical mode, we also are identifying what are the possible opportunities coming out of it. As a natural process, as I discussed, wherever there is a risk, opportunity comes out in our hand as a natural output. So we need to keep on analyzing the processes and see that more and more opportunities are coming. Risk is being reduced, opportunities are increasing. So that is the simple concept. And as the output of this action plan, finally we are able to develop a chart, a matrix of risk and opportunity, where 5, 10, 20, depending upon how the organization want to take this risk and opportunity into the organization to meet their objectives, they develop the number, quantities and type of risk and opportunity charts. I have seen large organizations will have a number of these charts, whereas small organizations may have one chart or maybe two charts, depending upon the complexity of their operation, depending upon the complexity of their processes, and of course depending upon the training and awareness of their level regarding risk and opportunity. So now we have understood the concept, we have made the action plan. We go further, and we are now reaching a situation where we always call implementation module, where we have completed the documentation part of it, training part of it. Concepts are clear. Yes, organizational team is ready to move for more and more opportunity. So they run the various processes as per the plan. Plan has been prepared. So they start running the operations of inspections, training, the laboratory, the dispatches, customer satisfaction monitoring, customer complaint handling, corrective actions, stores management, supplier vendor controls, all is ongoing as a link to risk and opportunity system developed by us, and we keep on monitoring this chart. Then what happens? We When we go into auditing, at times we found that these charts are not updated. Risk have been reduced, process have been changed, but document remains where it was. Work instructions have not been updated. With respect to this kind of opportunity chart, training module has not been updated. The preventive maintenance method has not been updated. The oil grade to be used into compressor maintenance has not been changed, despite our risk and opportunity chart is giving a different reading or different scale of our opportunity. So it is very important that whenever we find that yes, data is giving us indication, let's update the chart, and then only we can have more and more improvement, and risk will be moving towards a reduction cycle, or mitigation of this will be done effectively. After we do implementations of these processes with the support of the risk and opportunity chart, we need to conduct calculations at various available opportunity of the time. Organizations who, when they start implementing, they when they are into understanding and implementation mode, stage one, as I say sometimes, so they calculate very frequently. Sometimes they do it weekly. There are organizations where I have seen that they sometimes a particular chart they do start updating every day, because they do not know the directions. They have just trained the team, and the data has started generating, so they start calculating it more frequently. Once the organization getting to more and more stable situation of risk and opportunity, they are more clear about their process outputs with respect to the risk and opportunities are seen very clearly now at stage 2, stage 3 level of implementation, where the data is showing indications and they are able to take opportunity as a plan into the organization, and everybody is conceptualized to see yes, opportunity and improvement is my theme of risk and opportunity. So let's go on, calculate, reduce it further. Once that happens, then we naturally time to time need to review the facts and figures. This we have been discussing and we will always keep on discussing in all the training courses. The decision should be based upon facts and figures. So this review of facts and figures, review of data, review of N chart, P charts, cause and effect diagram, different statistical analysis, they should be reviewed from time to time so that we know the direction. Into the third party auditing, I have seen situations where this review has been lacking. Because of that, the initial planning, which is a very good theme, that has been diluted because the direction has not been seen through the facts and figures. So now we have implemented the system. So now what we do? We will always going to through a system of analysis and future actions. So what do? We study these charts in the small group and cross-functional teams. We, as the quality professional, always believe in team working, group working, which is called small group activities, also cross-functional teams, also quality circles are there. So unless we involve the entire team of the organization as per the requirement of the products and process and as per the risk, we cannot arrive at the desired results, because each and everybody's suggestions, advice, point is equally important. We have seen in the organizations when we particularly go for ISO 45000 standard, where the involvement of the operator workers has been added into 2018 version. Most of the good suggestions we have seen coming from the workers, operators, and to that extent, everybody is important in the organization to give inputs for the opportunities which can be derived out of the implementation of this beautiful system of risk and opportunity. Again, we need to monitor the data. We have always been discussing that analysis of data is one of the very important activity of this whole exercise. Otherwise, organizations make lot of big plans, they do lot of huge implementation, they invest lot of money, time, but if they do not do the monitoring of the data, they do not do the analysis of the records, then the purpose is defeated. They may get some benefit definitely if they are moving towards the improvement and opportunity plans, but we definitely have a desire of the organization, desire of the customers, expectation of the customers that yes, this organization should be growing further. As a third party auditor, when we go into the initial certification through surveillance, we always want to see what? Yes, organization is doing data analysis. More and more opportunities are demonstrated to us. This is what sorry, we are expecting into the surveillance audit, and this is what every organization's management, top management, board of directors is willing to see that the data is monitored and improvements are shown clearly. If even if you are achieving the lot of goals, you are achieving lot of opportunities, risk is being mitigated also, but if it is not demonstrated to the head of department, to the managers, to the top management, then again the efforts will go waste. Then it will go unnoticed, and further opportunities plans may go unimplemented or unfinanced, or new machines and processes cannot be implemented, improved upon, because it has not been demonstrated with the support of data. So data analysis is very important. Now, once we have done, then we need to conduct the effective internal audit. We all understand that yes, it has to be done by trained auditors. But here I have added trained R&P concept auditor, means those who had got the concept of risk and opportunity. It should be actually R and O. I have by mistake I have written R&P. It will be R and O, O concept, risk and opportunity concept. So unless the team is trained with these concepts, how they will conduct the internal audit? So these internal auditors must be very clear with the concept of risk and opportunities and those projects of risk and opportunities. Then they can bring real improvements into the internal audit reports, internal audit concepts, and internal audit will then show us the direction of improvement through risk and opportunity. Once we have these results are ready, who have been shown us by the trained auditors on risk and opportunity, then we are going to conduct an effective management review meeting. In some of the situations into third party auditing, we have seen that one of the agenda is there as risk and opportunity, but detailed discussions at times are lacking. This is the time of conduct of management review meeting, where entire management of the organization is present as per the agenda plan, as per the list of the participants, and risk and opportunity is discussed with one, two, or number of charts available as per the size and type of the organization, and they make further opportunities bringing into the organization really happening on the ground level, and then implement the decisions taken into the management review meeting, and keep on monitoring this and keep on updating the chart, risk and opportunity chart, updation, improvement after implementation, and after discussions definitely bring about what? Improvement. That is where the whole process is lying upon in the organization, and we all are into a thought of risk and opportunity means improvement plans, continual improvement, PDCA, the Deming cycle, Deming circle, all these further add to our directions. Any questions so far you have? I think I am through this process. So if you have any questions, you can ask me. I am just running the slides from the beginning again. If you have any questions, you can ask.
Sir, I have received a couple of questions from few of our participants. So,
Okay.
if you permit me, I can ask them on their behalf. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So ask your question.
Yes, sir. The first question which I have received is, what is the link between clause 4.1 and clause 6.1 of ISO 9001:2015?
In fact, I have started with that clause only. See what happens when we are into 4.1, we have internal and external issues. That is the base where from we start the documentation and implementation plan. So unless we have an understanding of risks and we understand the opportunities, these internal and external issues cannot be, number one, documented, number two, they cannot be understood, number three, they cannot be implemented, and number four, the opportunities will not come. So 4.1 and 6.4 are going in hand to hand all throughout the implementation of the quality management system.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
The second question which I have received is SWOT analysis an efficient method for identifying risk and opportunities?
See, when we go into the risk assessment processes, the standard is available ISO 31000, plus it has got many supporting standards, and these standard has got various techniques to identify the risk, classify the risk, define the risk into different levels, and then planning to reduce the risk levels and bringing about the opportunity into the processes and organization system. So any of these techniques can very well be used into the risk and opportunity implementation.
Thank you, sir. If any of the other participants has any questions, they can put their questions in the chat box. I hope there are no more questions from any of the participants, so we can now come to the conclusion of this particular session. I'll start the conclusion by saying that I am glad that we have been benefited by the knowledge shared by Mr. Ajay Bajpai on such a vast and complex terminology, which is also a critical element in the implementation of the standard. I can also say with much confidence that our participants must have enjoyed the context of today's webinar, and it will add value to their expertise and domain of work as well. I thank you from the bottom of my heart on behalf of TNV Academy for giving your valuable time and accepting our invitation to be the guest speaker for today's webinar. I also thank all the participants for taking out time from their schedule and joining us in the webinar today. I hope to see you all again soon. Wish you all best of luck on behalf of TNV Academy for all your future endeavors. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Best of luck.